Good evening, viewers. Good afternoon from anywhere where you are receiving us from. We're going to give you a few minutes to spread the word around that TV Vakwetu is on. This is special Saturday edition. My name is Elias Munsha, and I am coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, from the law offices of Munsha Law, which I rent sometimes when I'm trying to do the TV Vakwetu studio. So our law firm doubles as both chambers and a studio. Who knew? Good evening, Chiwempala, and all over the world. So thank you for joining us today. As usual, we do have a very, very exciting program for you. And we are looking at COVID elections and candidates passing away and the period of mourning. So many exciting things that we have to discuss today. With me is my co-host, Mr. Norman Chipakupaku, also known as General. Good evening, General.
Good evening, Munsha. Good evening, Chiwempala. Good evening, Milenge tonight, and good evening, Lundazi. And I think I would love to say good evening to Nyanje tonight in Eastern Province, a very beautiful place in Nyanje. And good evening to people in Kalawa as well, and greetings from Scotland tonight.
And of course, joining us today is our resident pharmacist, Mr. Jerome Kanika, our special pharmacist. And so we welcome you to our show today, Mr. Kanika.
Thank you, Council. Good evening, General, and good evening, the viewers.
Good evening, gentlemen, and it's good to see you. How is Lusaka? Or are you in the Copper Belt today?
Yeah, Lusaka is very much fine, even Copper Belt, though it is just a matter of COVID that, is hammering us the bad here in Zambia.
Right. So first of all, General, this is several days of mourning. Now, there's been several former ministers that passed away. Of course, today was the official state funeral of the late Madam Chief Justice Irene Mambilima. And of course, the period of mourning is still ongoing for our departed founding father of the nation, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. And so it's a mix of emotion. And some of the things we are going to be talking about today, General, we need to be very upfront about it. It may sound insensitive in some cases, right? Because how can we say, could the government have maybe not gone ahead with an actual physical state funeral today in view of the numbers? And so sometimes we have to be open to the idea that today it's going to be a very difficult topic that we deal with as far as COVID is concerned. What do you think?
I think it's a very, very terrible situation in which we are. We've got the national mourning for our founding father, which is 21 days. We've had another national mourning within national mourning declared for the Chief Justice and for the ministers who died. And only yesterday we had the permanent secretary dying. Permanent secretary for Ministry of Religious Affairs died yesterday. Right. And then we've got candidates dying. Just today, we're the candidate dying in the Eastern Province, Rwangeni constituency, UPND Alliance candidate. It's terrible. It's terrible, Jeremy. And in the middle of all this, you have the Kaunda family trying to cope with a very difficult situation of taking the body of the old man everywhere. And seeing the government the PF slowly trying to hijack the funeral. You can see it. But it's difficult. It's a very, very difficult situation. And then we've got a missing president who just appears today looking very, very, very weak. I think he's been fishing for some time, for a few days now. So it's a very difficult situation, Munsha.
All right. Okay. So first of all, we want to mourn with all the families in Zambia that are mourning various deaths. When the Ministry of Health announces 61 deaths, it just sounds like a statistic. But these are real figures. And we know that the official figures of 61 are on the conservative side. If, for example, the Lusaka City Council is telling us that they are running out of spaces to bury people, our mortuaries are full to capacity, then we know that the official number of 61 is a little bit on the conservative side. The numbers could actually be higher. So to every family that has lost a loved one during this time, our condolences, our deepest condolences to a nation that is mourning, not only mourning Kenneth Kaunda, but mourning every person, from the greatest of us to the lowest of us. But another concerning thing is that frontline workers, General, Mr. Kanika, frontline workers are getting infected. The Resident Association of Zambia today announced that over 100 doctors are right now in isolation and infected. And 9 or 19 of them have since died as a result of COVID-19. Now, that is just doctors, but there are several other workers in hospitals. So we need to expand our view about this. We've got cleaners in the hospitals, guards in the hospitals, custodians working in hospitals, nurses, and the profession of Mr. Kanika, pharmacists, and biomedical, whatever, these people who do lab work. So if that's what is happening with doctors, I can only imagine how many biomedical lab technicians are infected, how many pharmacists are infected. And so our word and our sympathy goes to the nation that is mourning at the moment.
Musha, the teachers' unions has just announced that a number of teachers have been infected, both in the urban and in the rural areas. And this afternoon, they were demanding that schools should not open because probably Jeremy should really bring us to speed on the health workers. And if possible, we might be having Dr. Brian Sampa coming through to tell us exactly what's happening. But my worry is that it's not only the health workers who are the frontline workers, but it's all going to teachers, it's going to civil servants. And we're now seeing families getting infected. And it's getting very, very scary that even government offices are getting infected, and people, we are not sure what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And for me, I think I have a mixed feeling here. I've got this funeral of Dr. Kaunda and the other friends who are dying. I just lost a friend in Chipata yesterday. And, it's just, then I've got Dr. Kaunda's family saying, look, let's send a message of love, of peace and unity. But meanwhile, people are dying. So it looks like Dr. Kaunda's message of love, peace and unity is being completely torn apart because people are mourning everywhere.
Right. Mr. Kanika, we know the situation is dire. How is it going from your friends, from those in government, from your profession?
You see, no any health worker in Zambia is spared, or any health professional is spared with the current wave that we are experiencing. When you say, when you check very well, you'll find that we have, pharmacists, we have doctors, we have nurses who are infected and who are in isolation because of the same coronavirus. And this is not that these people are supposed to have to get infected, but the problem which is happening again is when you check what they are using in the hospitals concerning the personal protective equipment or clothing, you may laugh You may even feel pity for the health workers who are working in these hospitals. You just find that some are just being given a mask. That's all. The other thing to they need to come with their lab coats from home. They need to just wear the normal way, like there is no a serious pandemic which is coming, which is hammering the nation. So some may be infected, not that they were supposed to be infected, but because the government has not taken good care of the health workers in terms of providing the PPEs to all our health workers. As you know very well, we have two forms of people who have COVID. There is those who are symptomatic and those who are symptomatic. Those who are asymptomatic, they are the ones that they are not showing any signs,
Right.
but they have the virus and they can spread the virus to another person. Now you find that most of the time when you are attending to these patients, you need to have a talk with them in a maybe closer distance, less than 2 meters. And
Right.
if you see some, you need even to touch them and all that. So you discover that you are touching a patient, well, that patient has COVID, and that COVID maybe it's also spread to you. So these are some of the day-to-day activities our health workers are passing through in our country, because the government has not shown any care to the health workers.
Okay. So now the pictures we are seeing of isolation centers is not a complete picture, right? Because isolation centers are just a puzzle. It's not everything, isn't it?
Yes, you see, Mr. Amisha, one thing that you need to know, understand very well is we have about, like today, we have about 20,700 or 900 cases, or above 20,000 cases that are being managed in our communities. These 20,000 cases have been managed by people who know nothing about the medical services, or how to take care of the sick people and how to handle this virus. Then we
Right.
only have about 1,200 that are being managed by the well-trained staffs in our health facilities. So
Right.
now, when you check very well, the 20,000 that are being managed by the communities, and you know how deadly this virus is, how how many BIDs are we having on a daily
Right.
basis? We are
Yeah.
having a lot of BIDs that some of them are not even announced, or even they coded to say this is COVID, because they have not even done a postmortem on them. Well, we have a lot of bodies that are being taken to these mortuaries. So if the number they say 61 or 50, do you think the number of deaths 50 can make the mortuaries to go to full capacity? That
No.
should tell you to say the number is more than that. And from the way it is, these 20,000 are only for those that are tested. Now
Okay.
we have again those that are not tested, and they don't know yet that they have COVID. So
Right.
if you want to know the exact picture of the coronavirus in terms of the community cases, you need to do that by maybe threefold, or maybe by multiply by that community number by 4 times. Those are the real numbers of cases that we have in our community. But when you
Yeah,
check very well again, I've seen one trend that people are doing. Instead of people putting the blame on the people supposed to take care of them, in this case, the government, for them for failure to handle the pandemic very well, they are now trying to shift the blame to innocent citizens. That's not the way it's
Right.
supposed to be done.
Yeah.
Citizens are being blamed for the pandemic as if they are the one who's supposed to take care of the government. Well, it's the other way around. It is the
Right.
government that's supposed to take care of the citizens. Have you ever heard citizens trying to tell the government to say, oh, can you lock down this? Can you close this? They don't. It's the other way around. It is the
Right.
government that says, we have closed this airport. We have put these and these measures for you to
Right.
follow as citizens. And if you are not going to follow these measures, we are going to punish you in this and this and this. So,
Right.
in my view, the government has failed terribly to handle the pandemic, and this pandemic, it's now eating us very bad in the way that we are now on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, losing more people than the people we are expecting without even us giving the hope. Instead of government giving us the hope on how they are fighting the pandemic and the plan they have in terms of fighting the pandemic, they are giving us now, they are scaring us by showing us the hospital to say they are full, by showing us the mortuaries to say they are full. You see, so you discover that once you get sick, instead of having hope that we are recovering and the government is doing what it's supposed to do, for me to get better, you only switch on to ZNBC, you see government showing the hospitals, say the hospitals are full, the mortuaries are full.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
feel as a person who have been found to be positive with coronavirus? This is the only country where I'm hearing the government pushing the blame to the members of the public. When you hear South Africa, they are saying, no, yes, we are having a lot of number of cases, but we are going to manage because we have put this and these places to be the isolation centers. We have put and these places to be for oxygen. We have bought this and
Now,
this thing for oxygen.
okay, I do assume here that healthcare workers, so the rank and file of healthcare workers, um, in hospitals and in clinics, public health specialists, they've probably been telling government about this, right? And so, where is the disconnect? Where is the disconnect?
Before we go to Jeremy, the government knew that the third wave was coming. I think the numbers picked up to August, and they started dropping in August last year.
Right. Right.
And the scientists told them that there was a third wave coming through South Africa, coming through India. The biggest question is, what preparations did the government put in place in terms of PPEs, in terms of vaccines, in terms of making sure that all our hospitals, the number of beds was enough?
Right.
I think we've had 8 months, Musha, to prepare for the third wave. And this government also is aware that it's winter in Zambia now. And it's winter, that's when we are going to be hit more. The question is, what has the government done about it? And I think this is where I want to find out from a person like Dr. Brian Sampa and Jeremy, what has the government actually done? What has the Ministry of Health done besides just announcing the figures to say we have 68 people dead? And for me, I even doubted the testing because they don't have the testing kits. Where are they getting these numbers from?
Right.
Yeah, General, just like you have tried to put it in place, you see, there is an issue of blaming the innocent citizen to say, no, you are not
They're the
getting
ones.
vaccinated. You are not doing that. But when you check very well, you find that the people who stopped the issue of vaccination, it is not the citizens, it is the government. And when you go today, as you want to get your first dose of the vaccine, you will not find the vaccine there. They are finished. The vaccine is finished. So there is no way the government at any point should try to blame the innocent citizens. That's now failure in terms of Ministry of Health handling a serious pandemic. Instead of preparing them very well to say, when the drugs that we are using in patients who are having a COVID are these and these drugs. But when you go in the hospitals, those who are found positive, They are just being told to say, go buy this medicine, and this medicine. Here we don't have the medicines. So now, how do you expect the members of the public to get treated well? How do you expect the number of BIDs or the number of deaths to reduce if the hospital where they are going to, they cannot even be given a simple medication apart from being told to say, go buy, and you don't have the money to buy that medication, and you are the breadwinner? What happens next? You're just going to start working. If you
But where are the donations? Where are the donations? Where are the COVID donations? Musha, I think I heard a company like Trade Kings donated 23 million kwacha. We've had a lot of donations coming from other donors. Where are these donations gone? That is my biggest question.
Now, we need to be clear that here on TV Bakwetu, we did not shy away from warning our people right from the start that we are going to hit a very difficult COVID iceberg. And in fact, some of our recommendations were some people frowned upon them and thought that we were just trying to politic. But we also, the same advice we were given to the PF is the same advice we were giving to the UPND. I don't think we discriminated in that way, even if our bet definitely is towards Mr. Haga and the Hichilema. But we did not shy away from saying, gentlemen, we have a crisis. This COVID crisis is going to hit very hard. Can you come up with some common sense solutions, General?
Yeah, and now we recommended weeks and weeks ago,
right,
that action must be taken in the markets to make sure that because that's where the crowds are, in the supermarkets, that's where the crowds are. We recommended that in the buses, I mean, only this 2 days ago, I was saying 150 buses are moving from Lusaka to all the provinces every day with 65 passengers and more. What do you think is really happening every day?
Right.
And not only that, the president himself has been traveling every day with 200 soldiers.
Gosh. And
traveling.
when it comes to the president, now, some of you think that if we tulefwa afyo kushupa on TV bakwetu, kwana kalimo icho tufwa afyo kushupa mwebo.
No.
We knew ukwebati ukuleya balungu ukukuseya kwa kateka kuleta ndamalwele. We said it here.
Yeah.
Ifi tekusambire tamufire mu abanga ba pharmacist bakanika yo no kunwa sana ifi apala ama sciences. No, you don't even need the sciences. Monfa bakanika. In common sense, common sense ngoli chikwakwa kuti waishiba. Ukweba kachakutenda na mkwata ka virus mu Lusaka. Elo nomba kateka aya kumongo tenda eka yo. Enda na bakampenga, enda na masoja, enda na bambifie abachimpwena. When they go to Mongo, bala atwala virus. It's not complicated, for goodness sake. Here we are.
Yep.
Here we are. And you can't tell us that you either follow COVID guidelines. Imwe. President Lungu can follow COVID guidelines. But when President Lungu moves, it's not just about him, for goodness sake. It's not just about him. It's about those people surrounding him, the entourage in le français, the entourage that he moves with. That is where the problem is. Nomba, garakutira niweka teka, waba state, waika la banshi in State House. It means then that you are going to significantly reduce spread, first of all. Secondly, because you are the model, isn't it, General? The president is the model in chief. Everybody, all the mics, all the cameras, yaletonta kuli kateka. Everybody is going to know whether this is serious. Apo lungu taleenda mukutuwala malwele. Let us all stay put. Tukenda kolimbi. But no. He was moving until dizziness yamuteneka nomba. Elo tuamona kwa reduced movement. But it appears like as soon as Bachta recover from this dizziness, he will go back again, Mokusea, spreading the disease. When we are saying this, it is not that we don't like the gentleman. What we are saying is that there is a crisis at stake here. We needed modeling. General, I want to move to the next issue of modeling, but it's very, very hard. So I want you to soften it a little bit.
Mr. Lungu is the commander-in-chief. He's supposed to be the monarch-in-chief, and he's supposed to be the model in chief. He's supposed to show us, lead us by example. But he has not done that. The last 5 months, he has actually helped to spread this COVID. The rallies which we have held, even the road shows which we've had, both UPND and PF and all the political parties, that we have been spreading this virus. And the next 3 weeks is going to be very difficult. It's going to be very, very difficult. And my only worry is that I only hope and pray that somebody is not going to declare a state of a health emergency and cancel the elections.
No. Okay. Now, one more thing before Jerome comes on. This is with a lot of mixed emotion here. The issue of state ceremonies proceeding in the middle of COVID. And today we had a state ceremony, which is the funeral of our beloved Chief Justice. Now, this is not easy because, on the other hand, we are mostly Bantu people. We love the ceremony of a funeral. We want to go. If somebody dies, people want to travel from the village, even when they don't have transport money. That is understandable. It's a cultural thing. However, we cannot do business as usual when our positivity rate is 20%. We can't hold ceremonies as normal. Some are saying that, no, they were observing COVID protocols. Again, COVID protocols is not just about wearing the mask and social distancing when you are at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross. No. It's about government saying there will be no gatherings. It doesn't matter. There will be no gatherings. Because each gathering, each state gathering brings together several players in the state. And they're going to spread COVID. So this official ceremony that took place, how many people got COVID out of it? We may never know. Of course, they managed to keep social distancing. Number. What about the common person who was putting together all those events? The cleaner at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross. The guards who accompanied President Lungu and several of the people in the state. We don't think about them. Private oxygen tanks anytime. Tanks can be delivered, but which tanks are going to be delivered in Kalingalinga, in Chiwempala, in several other places around the country? What we are saying is, if you are going to ban all these ceremonies, ban all the ceremonies and let the state lead by example. Simple.
But meanwhile, Musha, today is Saturday, the bars right away as we are talking to you are open. The casinos are open. Zambia, are we serious? We are going to have deaths, a lot of deaths in the next 3 weeks. If the government does not stop, we have to stop and think. Because as you are saying, Jeremy, we have no drugs in the hospitals. All our relatives are being told, go and buy your own drugs.
Right.
Now, can you imagine somebody from Chipata compound being told, go and buy a drug? Well, where are they going to get it from? Can you imagine what is happening with the teachers who are not getting all their money because most of it is going on loans? How about the doctors who have not been paid? They're dying. In fact, just 2 days ago, I'm told Christine Mulundika's grandson died. I didn't know it was related to Christine Mulundika's grandson, a doctor. Now, if we're going to lose all these frontline doctors and all these nurses, all these pharmacists, it simply means the economy is going to be knocked.
Right.
We are heading for a big problem.
No, we are already in a big problem because there is this idea that it's already upon us.
Yeah.
So What we needed to do 3 weeks ago, we did not do. We need to act somehow here. First of all, the government must begin modeling. Look at the situation in England. Every time we are told, don't use Abasungu, don't use Abasungu. Mwebo. Uyu minister of health ku England. Bamukopa fye ale na wa misango. Aba ume ba misango mwebo. Bamukopa fye nachitahagi umuntu. Pariapene at you've broken COVID protocols.
Exactly.
Because they are expecting Okwebat, Imwe as leaders, you need to lead by example. You know, Prince Philip Afwile, during the lockdown, the government stayed away. It remained a complete family affair. Niba Queen, nama grandma, nama children, babo kachinga badi 10, nangu 12, nangu 20. Ichiriro chachtika. Nomba fuebo. I'm not saying that, and this is why I said it's going to be emotional. I'm not saying that, no, they take a chitiro for the Chief Justice. What I'm saying is that we cannot be creating ceremonies for these state ceremonies during this time.
Hitchcock kissed a friend, a girlfriend, and he has resigned. In Zambia, the Minister of Health is involved in honeybee, $17 million involved. He refused to resign. He was just fired because of pressure. These people here follow their guidelines, and if you break the guidelines, you resign. And for me,
Ayama funde pafidiro or applies to the poor. It does not apply to the state.
No.
The state is supposed to model because ngabamo nokoba timwe muleteke fidiro. Nama ceremonies mulechi divisha. How will the people in Milenge do it? Bena Milenge mubakanye imwe muchitivishe. We are not saying that you ichiriro shani. No, bane. Chachi netule losha. No, but this is not an ordinary time. 20% positivity rate. 20%.
That is too high. That is too high.
Yeah.
Basically, you are saying 20 out of every 100 people might be affected. That's a serious, that's a big number. That's a huge number. So over to you, Jeremy. We are already in trouble. We're not saying we're not going to say we are going to be in trouble. We are already in trouble. So the question is, what is the way out of this situation?
General, yes, we are already in trouble. But again, on the other hand, we are lacking in terms of leadership on how to go about this pandemic. As we are talking here, tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, the president of South Africa will be addressing the nation concerning the issues of vaccines and the update on the number of cases that they are receiving on a daily basis on COVID. As of yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, South Africa had about 13,000 new cases for coronavirus, and the president will be addressing the citizens and updating them on what needs to be done. But here in Zambia, we need to beg. That's why we are saying we have not seen on the other side in terms of leadership on how we need to progress and move as a nation concerning the issues of the pandemic. And coming back to the issue, you see, when you are dealing with the pandemic, there are only two things that you need to be to make yourself do. You need to be transparent and you need to be accountable. But our colleagues on the other hand, they are not transparent and accountable. And as a result, it is making everyone who wants to come and help out in this whole situation to be very difficult in terms of how their resources are going to be accountable, or if the information they are receiving, it is very much transparent. Because we have some challenges. Like myself, I can say, have not seen transparent in the way we are handling the matters of COVID. That's the challenge that we have. And the other problem is we are using the way what we used in terms of fighting the cholera epidemic. That's what we are using. We want to use to fight this serious pandemic, which it has shown to say that's not the way it will be done, and it cannot be fought like the way we fought cholera. For example, let's get back to the issue which we have. We are saying the first Republican president has passed on, and we are moving the body from one province to another province, and we are seeing the people who are coming to see the coffin of the first Republican president. And we are seeing those people are not masking up, are not observing any social distancing, and we have failed to control the number of people are coming to see
Right.
the body or the coffin. Now, how can we say that we are winning the fight against this pandemic? And how can we say that we are transparent and, for that matter, serious about fighting the pandemic? The people who
Also,
want to help us, they cannot come and help us to say, look, these guys, it's like they are foolish. How can they say we have been hit badly with the pandemic? But check on the other hand, those are people who are going to see the body or the coffin, not even the body, the coffin or the first Republican president, and
yeah,
see the crowds that are there.
yeah.
So these are
So
some of the issues that we need to take. And moreover, as we know very well, the level and the rate at which this Delta variant, the Indian variant, spreads in indoors, is faster as compared to any of the variants. Today we had an indoor activity at the Cathedral of the Holy Cross. Why didn't we use the Hero Stadium if we wanted to mourn the Chief Justice? Would have used the
an outdoor event.
Hero Stadium and observe all the social distance, and that heroes, it would have come to be like
Yeah,
an outdoor activity. And the
for me,
stadium would
pharmacist
have
Kanika, the state should just do away with all these ceremonies. Honestly, I know
yeah,
you much prefer a very common sense approach of open door. The issue is to put up even an open door event. You are going to depend on labor from where? You know, you are going to depend on labor from vulnerable communities.
that's the
Yeah.
challenge. So they just have to do away. Yes, that's very true. They just have to do away. And moreover, we have been told to say that Lusaka is the epic center for this virus, but we have not seen any lockdown in terms of Lusaka. I don't know
Right.
what's happening. Why not lock down the place where there is a lot of cases for 2 or 3 days, so that at least we can try to contain this until maybe once we do that, we can go to another area. But the other challenge that we have, it is also on the testing, like General mentioned in the beginning. We have challenges with the issues of testing. As we know very well, the all tests that we are doing are rapid tests. We are not doing any PCR tests because we don't have the materials to use in our laboratories. So now, how can we fight this pandemic with all the shortages of the materials or all the shortages of medical and the other medical supplies that's supposed to be in the hospitals? Well, on
Right.
the other hand, we have been told that for the past 5 months, from January to May, the means of finance have released 937 million. Where is that money? Who has used that money? Who has gotten that money? Because that money was released to buy laboratory medical supplies and drugs, but we have never had any drugs in the hospitals. So these are some of the questions that we need to be asking and questioning as the citizens, to say, you are mentioning this, but we are not seeing this. Why
Can I
are
tell
we
you?
not doing mass testing for the people, but we are now testing on targeted individuals? And we have been told to say, if you go to other institutions or health facilities, we are being told to say, you don't have COVID, you are looking fine, just go back home. Well, someone has complained to say, I want to do a test for COVID so that I
Right.
know, because all my family members are all positive, they'll chase them. These are the realities that are happening. How do you say that the government has a plan in fighting the pandemic? How do
Do
you
you,
say the government has a
Jeremy,
plan in controlling the
Jeremy,
pandemic?
do you want to know where the money has gone to? It has gone to tear gas. It has gone to more guns for the police. It went to that big parade for the army and the
Very
army
sad.
day, instead of
Very sad.
us having our drugs in the hospital. Instead of buying testing kits, we have bought more tear gas. This is a country which has got more tear gas than anti-malaria tablets, which means our priorities are upside down. And not only that, this money has been going to the Ministry of Health, paying their friends who supplied strange drugs, a lot of companies which are owned by PF.
Yeah.
That's where all that money has gone to. So we have got a country whose priorities, the government whose priorities are upside down. You guys, you've got more tear gas, you've got more bullets for the police than the tablets of malaria and paracetamol. So that's how confused our government is.
Right. Okay, so now, if you were to wave a magic wand and you are the one to make decisions, I just want to come up with 4 things that you would do. Should I go first or I let you go first? 4 things.
4. For me,
Okay.
I would shut down all the markets and make sure that they're cleaned up, and anybody without a mask, no market. Same with the the buses.
Okay.
That's number 2. Number 3, no funerals of more than 30 people in a family, and no government functions. Finish. And buy drugs instead of buying tear gas.
Right. Okay. Mr. Kanika.
Yeah, the first thing I will start first is to make sure that all the health workers that are not employed are first employed to come and fight this pandemic, and those who have retired to call them back to work so that we can fight the pandemic together. That's number 1 I can do. 2, I can go on to make sure that I suspend all form of gatherings, whether they are state gathering, whether they are indoor, outdoor. I'll do suspend those gatherings. 3, I'll make sure that only the planes that carry cargo are the ones that need to come in our country, meaning that even the borders, I'll try first to close the borders and allow cargo to be moving in without allowing the people to be moving in for maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, actually, to say. Then number 4, I'll be able to be addressing the nation on a 2 weeks basis to give updates and new guidelines in terms of how we can do. If it's possible, I can even do like the way where we are on a weekly basis, so that the people can know that I care for them. Unlike where we are right now, we are fatherless country.
Right.
Who would be addressing the nation, Jerome? Because your president is shy. He doesn't. He fears the camera. He fears talking to the people.
No, he was speaking today, wasn't he? Or he was speaking at the funeral?
He was speaking at the funeral briefly, but I hear the wife mourned more than the husband. So he is camera shy. So I think somebody has to lead. The president has to lead this country, because he has been absent. You're right. He has been very absent for the.
But if he can't lead, then the vice president needs to step up and lead.
Yes, but not leading by just accompanying Kaunda's funeral. That's not leadership.
Right.
Because what is happening now, Musha, is that the vice president has decided that they are going to use Kaunda's body to campaign.
She was there in Mongo, but I'm thinking that it's because Mongo is her place, and so maybe she wanted to see. Has she accompanied the body elsewhere?
Well, we don't know, but that's what they've been trying to do.
Right.
It's probably in Mongo, again, the message was political.
Even in Northwestern, she was there. Even in Northwestern, she was there.
Northwestern, she was there. That's what I'm told. That's what I'm told, that in Northwestern province she was there, but lucky enough, Panji Kaunda told the chiefs to say, don't politicize this thing, because this is not a political funeral.
Right.
So Musha, before we move on from the COVID, have you noticed that there's more violence especially in the north. The radio station in Chienge was burnt down.
Right.
This afternoon, 3 vehicles in Polokoso damaged by a commander, a PF commander. The police were watching. They didn't arrest these people. And a lot of UPND flags being burnt down. The violence is being perpetrated by PF, and they're turning around and saying, no, it's UPND. The people who burnt the radio station in Chienge were caught. PF cadres. One of them is a teacher. So it looks like
the police border said they are unknown. It's unknown people who had burnt down the radio station in Chienge.
No, they are known. I can even give you the names now. One of them is a teacher, a local teacher, and one of them is a PF cadre who was a PF counselor.
Right.
So this issue of saying unknown people is not true. So basically, it looks like violence, even in the Copper Belt, violence is now being used to try and make sure that the whole thing becomes violent before elections. And that's a very dangerous game to play.
And what is interesting is you are mentioning that the most visible aspects of this violence is taking place in the north among Bemba-speaking areas. So I think it's becoming quite tight. I think the Patriotic Front know very well that their hold on power is slipping very quickly. And Bembas have changed their minds.
Mpulungu, Nakonde, and now you're here in Kasama Central, and you're Shiwangandu. All these things, the issues in the north, I think what is happening is that they are realizing that the ground is shifting. So the only way out now is to go use violence.
Right.
And is this the same situation in the Copper Belt, Jeremy?
You see, at least on the Copper Belt, we have not seen much of the violence, but still it's also happening, like the way it happened in Chirabombo, where a UPND party member was attacked by the PF just there in Chirabombe, where they went to report that it is the PF was being attacked, which was not true. And we have also seen, like today when I was just in town, we saw 3 Land Cruisers. We don't know where they came from, with 4 PF thugs passing through Rwansha town going into Kitwe. Where they came from, we don't know, but we just saw in a violent way, just say, no, this is not what the people of Zambia want. But you see, this is where the problem is, not only in the Northern Party, as you are saying, where they have seen all these guys, they have lost popularity. Sure, who would want to continue with someone who made sure that they consume drugs that are counterfeit? Who would want to continue such kind of a people? These people had to put at least the 17 million Zambians, all of us, we were put at serious risk, and those people who consumed the medications which were counterfeit, still they have developed even some other problems. Some are even, maybe they are the one who are even dying with this COVID once it hits them bad. Because as you consume this counterfeit medication, you are likely to have issues of kidney problem, lung problem, heart problem, liver problem. And these are the organs that usually takes care of our body partakings. But now these were armored by the fake or counterfeit medicines that were distributed to the entire nation everywhere. These drugs were distributed. Now we are seeing the number of people dying. Don't you think so? The people are still upset with this, because no one wants to play or wants their health to be touched. But this government went on and touched the people with supplying the drugs that were taught to them to say, can you please recall these medications because they are not okay? But they went on and they make the consume. So this is where we are having a problem.
What I think, Munch, is that this tactic of violence is to try and divert the Zambian people from the gassing, the issue of the debt, the issue of the fire tenders, the issue of the fires at the markets, the issue of who killed in Samansama. They are trying to divert us. The Zambian people are trying to, they want to have this violence so that you don't talk about the debt. Right. You don't talk about the fire tenders. You don't talk about ambulances. You don't talk about honeybee, which Jerome was talking about. They want you to keep you preoccupied about all these things, and you don't ask. Let's start asking. We have only got a few days to go. Let's start asking. Where is the money they borrowed?
They've stolen it.
And Musha, for the first time in so many, we saw an advert of UPND on ZNBC. In my language, we say Kibitolo.
And what does that mean?
Which means it's I don't know. Where are Mushibemba?
Kipitolo.
Yeah, that's a loss in Kimitolo.
Kimitolo.
Yeah. Whatever it is, it's taboo. I think it's something is going to happen. Eh?
Okay. Mupamba. No, not it. Mupamba is what is that? Yeah.
Mupamba. ZMBC advert of HH, which means yara looking for a July, I think.
Now, we have lost several candidates, and some candidates are resigning. Yeah. So we do have that outstanding issue about what should happen, and ECZ has interpreted the law in a certain way that I disagree with. The reason why I disagree with such an interpretation is because it's going to lead into confusion. Because that law, once you take it literally, it says if you cancel the election or cancel nominations and you call for fresh nominations, the election must take place within 30 days. And so it has the potential to interfere with the August 12 election date, which is constitutional. And so that is where the problem is. I don't agree that all these, way before August 12, nominations should be cancelled. It doesn't make sense. It's expensive. No common sense in that approach.
We have already lost one MP, Luangeni, UPND. My worry is what happens if a presidential candidate dies.
Oh, they'll definitely cancel, because that's the interpretation. Not only dies, but if they also resign, because ECZ is also saying that if a person resigns or decides to withdraw from the race, what they're saying is they cancel. So in Pulungu, they've said they've cancelled. I know it's now in court. Mandevu, they've cancelled. And even Lusaka Central, they've cancelled because Miss Charity Lumpa decided to withdraw. And so ECZ says because of that, we've got to cancel. Now, imagine the other ward elections, the councillor elections, so many of them around the country. And people, like I said the last time, we have a very bad habit of dying, sometimes dying at a very wrong time. And so if these people die, it means they're going to cancel so many elections across the board. That is not right.
It's dangerous. We have 19 presidential candidates. If one of them decides to die, God forbid. It means that the whole process, we have to go back and get 100 candidates, supporters from each province. Does it mean that we go back to the political parties to elect a president? Munshaya, the lawyer there.
It's no. I think it's ECZ. ECZ is the one that is trying to interpret that article in that way. The common sense approach is for you to say, if you have at least August 12, we still have more than a month out. What they can do is, quite all right, they just deem those people that are nominated as validly nominated. Ask the party that lost the person to nominate a new person, or ask anyone else who wants to come in for that particular election, they come in. You resolve that problem and move on. But the idea of cancelling, when you still have more than 1 month out of the election, it's a waste of resources. So, which means then that the PF is not going to have a validly nominated candidate in Mandevu. So all the things that Christopher Shakafuso has been doing in Mandevu, it's now null and void.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
You know?
Crazy.
Yeah, you see, this is where even in Rwanda, actually, we have the same scenario on the ticket of mayoral position, where an independent candidate who stood as independent has died, and we are burying today. So, meaning that all the people are fighting the nominations on the mayoral candidates, it means that is now and void. Is it not so? According
Yeah.
to the
According
thing
to
from
it,
right,
which is
the,
very cumbersome, and already people have used a lot of resources for them to make posters and to sell themselves to the people for to vote for them. So maybe we need to look and see how best we can they can handle this matter. But anyway, this is that they are the bosses in this, and they have guided like that.
and in fact, they've been supported, I think, by the Law Association of Zambia, which has held a similar position that they've got to cancel all these nominations. We'll see how it goes. Some people are arguing to say, could Butane have cured all these problems? And again, no. I hate to go back to Butane, but because Mwambala, no general, n'abambala abantu ne mwine n'alirabako kuli Butane ati yo chali kwa balirusa twaliba winna balusa. So number they keep going back to Butane, and they keep coming up with all these justifications that if it was Butane, we wouldn't have had this problem. No. The problem was that Butane was going to create more bigger, gigantic problems. I don't know why people don't understand that. And the PF keep going back to Butane. Sorry, PF, you lost the Butane battle because Butane, first of all, had no straight sentences. Chali kona kalimu abantu lubinda given lubinda alikala na abantu ero no babale posa mu fyotuntu ati wemwe umeposa po as they are drinking lutuku uyo aposa mu balemba, you know. No, there was no General, please.
But Munsha, when they lost Butane, do you remember what PF said? We are going to use Butane against you.
Right.
And that's exactly what they're doing now. They've now weaponized Butane.
Right.
And going to tell people to say, look, you are seeing now what's happening. If Butane had been approved, if UPND had approved the Butane, all these problems were going to be solved. The truth is, no, it's not true. Butane had more problems than what we have now.
Right.
Except that the next 4 weeks or so, there will be more confusion because this constitution needs to be sorted out.
Right. Yeah.
So we might have a lot of people dying. We'll have a lot of them resigning. And I can assure you, even the presidential candidates who were sponsored by the PF, you might hear one or two of them withdrawing. Just to cause confusion.
Yeah.
No, do you know why? Do you know why, Musha and Jeremy? They want UPND to pay more money for filing nominations again. That's the idea. Because they've got enough money they can pay, but they want to punish UPND for Butane. That's what is happening now.
But General, they have enough money. Only the top people have enough money. PF candidates are suffering. There is no money in PF. I mean, so it appears like whoever stole the money from all these contracts has hidden it somewhere. Because there is no money. PF candidates are complaining. They're just as poor as UPND.
They are poor as check mouse. They are poor as check mouse. But somebody's keeping money. Somebody's still making money from the Ministry of Health. They are still getting checks. Some of these checks were even released yesterday. Paying them for supplying.
So it appears like they've noticed ukobati into fiakakana. So nomba chiramuntu palwakwe. Everybody is hiding. General, now I know what would be your position on this matter, but I want to give you my opinion first before you give yours. President Kaunda was the father of this nation. And he was president of various segments. So it's not that the president was only president of good people. He was also president of bad people. He was also president of comedians. He was also president of fashionistas. He was also president of slave queens. General, I know that you might have a different view about this, but if a slave queen or whoever it is wants to honor the memory of the president by having a photo shoot, General, I'm okay with it.
Musha, if a slave queen wants to have a photo shoot, this is not the right time to get a photo shoot. And you know, I will say one thing.
I'm a soldier, they're doing if you have a soldier. I'm a teacher, but it's if you have a teacher. Comedians, but it's if you have a... Why shouldn't a person go and have a photo shoot to remember the founding father of the country?
I know the President Kaunda was the president for the whole nation, including Amashiru, the mad ones like myself. He was my president. But I think there's our culture there. To be very, very honest with you, you cannot go to your father's funeral dressed like a pimp. You can't do that. It's our culture. And one of the things we should be proud of is trying to preserve our good African and Zambian culture. You can't go for a funeral dressed like a pimp. Where is the decency we had that when you go for a funeral, you wear black? That's what we used to do. You cannot take somebody's funeral as a fashion to show your fashion, your shoes or your dress. I think it's pathetic. And it's not, if that is what you call fashionista, whatever you call it, Musha, it's disgusting. It's really, really disgusting. Zambians, where has our culture, our respect for funeral gone? Where has our respect gone? Where is our culture? In my culture, where I was brought up, respect for a funeral. You have to dress in a certain way when you're going for a funeral. And what I saw was disgusting. It's really disgusting. And if the person who was dressed like that has got parents, you, the parents, bring your daughter, sit her down. That's not the way we go in Zambia.
You're talking of parents.
No, I'm saying if the parents are there, sit your daughter down. I would never allow my daughter, my nieces, they would never do that. And where are the parents? Even yourself, the so-called fashionista, whatever, you cannot dress up to go and show up at the funeral. No, you can't do that. And you know, some people are very, very lucky. I would not allow you to go and see come to my father's funeral like that. I would throw you away. You know, I am very, very sorry. Some people are lucky because let me say to you, they are very, very, very lucky that the Panji family are decent people. Panji Kaunda, Dr. Waza, TJ, Kawecha, the Hart family is decent. If I was the firstborn, you come to my father's funeral like that, I would throw you out.
Oh, yes.
No, there's nothing wrong with the Kaputula, okay? Everybody goes for a funeral dressed. There's nothing wrong with that. But you cannot go and show your fashion at a funeral. You can't do that.
Jerome, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, you see, we should know very well that we are Africans and we are Zambians, and moreover, we have different tribes and we follow these traditions very well. Tamupunda tiyo, tamupunda tamni baushi, munapunda mni baushi, and ama traditions oyo yabika, you do follow. Same with the general where he is in Scotland. So even here where we are, as even in Zambia, we know our traditions and how much respect we give to a funeral. And for that matter, this is a person who was the first Republican president. You cannot go and do a photo shoot at at the funeral of the founding father. You can't. You can never. That's a big mistake. Even if you are thinking to be a genius in whatever thing you want to do, whatever, you just can't do that. There are things for if you barachitana that if you not tabachita. If you are if you are kanya if you tabachita.
So in my position is wrong.
Musha,
definitely.
If that was my daughter, I would go and apologize to the Panjis, to the Kaundas. That is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And I'm saying to myself, Zambians, where's our culture? Is that the culture? You know, some of us I've been in Scotland for over 25 years. I have respect for my culture. Now, how can you have a person doing that? Somebody brought up from a family, a decent family, cultured family. I have been here for 25 years. I know what a funeral means in Zambia, in any African countries.
Right.
So what I saw was disgraceful. And you know what? The Kaundas will not say it. They're just quiet. If it was my father, somebody would have just seen me stand up and say, no, not here, out. Yeah, go. Yeah, go and dress properly and then come back. Yes, exactly.
Not that at Lusaka.
That's not a fashion show. That's not a fashion parade. No, that's a funeral.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. So today we've dealt with several themes and several topics as usual. Our guest pharmacist, our resident, I say it guest, our resident pharmacist was here to give us a little bit more of what is obtaining, because mulatu shoba atinena bach paku we are foreigners. Nomba. We do have Jerome. Alelondolola. Efo alelondolola Jerome na ifo bene fimofine. And so thank you very much, Jerome, for your presence. We really appreciate you. General, thank you so much today. We're going to see you sometime in the coming days or so. We'll see how tomorrow goes. Who knows what happens?
Yeah, you never know. But what I can just say is that watch out for something very special coming in. You have told us there are no rallies. You've told us there are no road shows. Watch out for something coming. That's what I can tell you.
General, please don't keep our hopes high. What is it that can come? You know?
No, I'm just saying, watch out what's going to happen.
Yeah, we'll do
because
that.
You've told us there are no rallies. You've told us there are no road shows. So we're telling you, just watch out and see what's going to happen.
On a personal note, General, my brother in Milenge was at a birthday yesterday. So I phoned him, and it was just very good. He's one of the most courageous people I know. Extremely courageous. He inspires me a lot. His name is Chirufia. Yeah.
Is he the guy who had no beard? And people were asking you, who's the elder one here?
And that was a political question, General. I did not answer it.
You answered it well to say the other one uses black polish to polish his hair. So you were right.
No, it appears like he doesn't have any gray. He doesn't have as much gray as I do. And he tells me all the time to shave off the beard. And I tell him, no, I'm not going to do that. At least in that area, I hold my ground.
Yeah, Musha, you hold your ground. I mean, I've been told to dye my hair. I've said, no, I will never dye my hair. I know there are some people who can't stand their gray hair. Me, I love my gray hair. It shows how old I am. And in Africa, when you got gray hair, they will respect you.
General, I want you to be clear about one thing. When we bring Mr. Hakainde Hichilema on our show, this will be one of the questions I'll ask him on gray hair. because I can't be having all this gray and elder. Hakainde Hichilema has no gray. President Lungu, the same thing. President Lungu had gray hair all over, and then a few months, just so the gray hair has disappeared. I'm curious, what is happening?
I think that's a good question to ask them. Because our viewers, we are bringing Mr. Hakainde Hichilema here. We are bringing Mr. Ed Kalungu here. If he says no, that's fine. But for HH, he's coming here live. So we will tell you when, but he's coming here live.
That is one of the questions.
Both of them. I think that's a good question. I'll write it down and I'll keep it somewhere there.
No. Okay. But at least Mr. Hichilema, I did not see the gray and then it turns black. You see? But for Mr. Lungu, it was gray.
And then all of a sudden black.
And then black all over. Njebele, nishi manone alenga to turn gray hair into black hair.
When I was in Zambia and in the 70s, 80s, there was a certain stuff they were using. I can't remember it. They were using it to dye their black hair. What was it called, Munsha?
Go black.
Go black. It was go black for men. Yeah, go black for men. It was not only go black, there was also army for men, which I never touched, because it was terrible. So go black for men. You put your hair, you dye your hair, it actually turns more gray. So don't even try it.
Yeah, it's like abantu tabarefuayo kukotamueko barefuaya black hair. If fue bambi no lupala general. Imo at least na mkwata kone mishishi.
Yeah, I love my hair and it's gray and I love it.
Yeah. Kanshi, it's I think it's genetic, these things. Bantu bambi mishishi shamba, they begin losing hair very like me. I've lost the hair very, very young, General, because I'm still young.
Yeah, but you remind me of one thing. A few years ago, I'm told somebody was freaked about anybody without hair in Lusaka. Do you remember our late president?
Yeah.
And it was anybody who had no hair, it was not comfortable with them. So you be very careful. Be very, very careful. You will be annoying some presidents, Me, I keep my hair. I would die with my hair. It will be stupid there. So thank you so much, Munsha, for having a laugh at the end of the day. I think let's keep on praying, Zambia. Let's keep on praying for our country. Let's keep on praying because in the last 4 days, people have died. People I know have died. One of the people who died, Munsha, in the last 2 days was my director. I traveled this man to China in the 70s. Colonel Mchenesi. And if the family is watching, that man was my director. And he was a colonel in the army, but was a very committed Christian. And he died 2 days ago. So let's continue praying for our country. Let's pray for our country that we do not have a situation we saw in India. And I also want to end by saying, Dr. Kaunda's family are saying, let's preach love. Let's preach peace. Let's preach unity. That is the wish of the Kaunda family. Love, peace, and unity in our country.
All right. Thank you. Good night and good afternoon. God bless you and God bless our country. Thank you.